You know what time it is.
For the old man.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh Man Games channel, Oh Man Games here. Welcome back. I have another new tutorial for you. This one is dedicated to player tendencies and playstyles in College Hoops 2K8. This tutorial is tied to another tutorial that I just dropped for small school recruiting. Make sure you go check that out if you haven't already. It's based off the same save file, which is for Maryland Eastern Shore, which is also the lowest team that you can start a closed legacy with. So we're basing this on the most difficult situation that you can be in, okay? In this tutorial, I'm simulating through the first few seasons while I walk you through how I do player tendencies and playstyles and fast simulations. As I mentioned in the small school recruiting tutorial, if you want me to drop any further seasons of this tutorial, we'll need to get this tutorial up to 100 likes. At that point, I'll drop the next season. All right, so again, I want to make sure there is a demand for my supply. I ain't even gonna lie, y'all. I'm trying to get these likes up and the subs up as well. So if you're not subscribed to this channel already, what are you doing? Especially if you've been here before and checked out some of my other videos. Now, if you ain't like it, why'd you come back? All right, so if you came back, what are you doing? Bang on that subscribe button. Yeah, so like I said, once we get this up to 100 likes, I'll drop a part 2, possibly 3, 4. I don't think I'll go past 4. We'll just go through flipping the whole roster, but it's going to be based on that demand that I spoke about, all right? And the way you let me know of your demand is by getting this up to 100 likes. Also, make sure you check out the other tutorials I have for this game. Quite a few at this point. We racking them up. I have a recruiting fundamentals tutorial. That's the 3-hour banger. That's separate than the small school recruiting that I mentioned, because the small school recruiting is new. The recruiting fundamentals is the OG. So check that out. I also have a player development tutorial, a custom playbook tutorial, and a guide on custom sliders. All right, so make sure you go check those out if you haven't already. And yeah, I think that's all the plugin we're gonna do for now. Without further ado, let's go on and hop into this thing. Let me set up my coaching profile. All right, now this is where game style or play style comes into play. For the play style that we run, athleticism is important, as is shooting. I put offense on all plays. This part right here, I'm gonna switch up. My primary is gonna be man-to-man. My secondary is gonna be the 1-2-2. And then my pressure defense is gonna be the man-to-man. We run a full court press always. Bench depth is gonna be the entire team. And then this piece here, now I'm gonna run it how I normally run it, but it's gonna be kind of tricky because we only have 8 guys on our roster. So this first season is gonna be pretty tough just off of that alone. But my normal play style is not that. It's modeled after head coach Nolan Richardson's team to an extent, but basically we are a pressuring team that likes to run and gun. We crash the board, so that could open us up a little bit, but we're big on rebounding, except for when we're trying to get the fast break is what I'm trying to say. All right, so this is just my preference. This isn't an end all be all. You can win with any strategy you put your mind to. Basically, this is just how I like to approach it. And honestly, this first year is going to be pretty tough just from the standpoint that it's a small team with only 8 players. All right, but that's our recruiting profiles, and that'll be our strategy. Okay, so now let's talk tendencies. So first thing you want to keep in mind and realize, actually, hold up, let me check something. All right, we're good. So first, as it relates to tendencies, a couple things, a little bit of background here. Some people consider tweaking the tendencies as cheating, but I don't look at it that way, right? One thing is, this is also a part of the reason why I don't necessarily, me personally, I don't put much stock into playing the ABL games. I don't really care about the extra points, I'll keep it real. But I don't put much stock into playing those games, one, because of the time that is involved. Even if you set it on lower minutes, I want to have the computer play all the games on the full minutes so that I can properly assess the players' stats for the year. I don't want to have their stats be messed up in any way because I went to a game with lower minutes. But then also too, the other thing is that I'm tweaking tendencies. So it doesn't necessarily matter how a player plays in any of those ABL games, because chances are once they get on my roster, I'm going to tweak their tendencies, which is going to change how they play, right? And the reason I don't look at tweaking tendencies as cheating is because I only play the game in a simulated manner, whether that is the straight fast sim, whether that's the hoop cast, which I haven't shown any of that on my channel yet, but I do play that way sometimes, or whether it's the CPU versus CPU, like how we have on the main Texas Southern Dynasty with head coach Corey Felton. In no way do I play the game, so I want to be able to have as much impact and influence on how my players play the game without actually playing the game when the game is being played, if that makes any sense. All right, so for me, tweaking tendencies is all fair game. Now, one of the things you have to keep in mind though is that there's actually two set of tendencies. There's the global settings that have tendencies that you set, as well as the player settings, and then even that will be impacted by the coaching profile and your play style, right? So that's why I call it Player Tendencies and Playstyles. So if we take a look at, real quick before we hop into anything, the sliders. Now I have an entire mini tutorial on the sliders. It's not really a tutorial, it's just a video showing you the sliders that I use. I'm trying to make my way to, okay, it's just showing the sliders that I use in the game. But just keep in mind that, so if you want, you know, the detail on what those sliders are, go check out that tutorial. It's a really quick one, 12 minutes or so. But I'm just showing here how there are tendencies in the settings. So these will have an impact on the global settings on both teams and just the gameplay in general, which also has a trickle-down effect on the player tendencies that we'll get into. All right, but I just wanted to show that real quick. Now, I didn't mean to do that, but let's do this. So for the way that I approach tendencies, there's a couple ways you could, again, there's no right or wrong. That's what I love so much about this game, right? There's no wrong way to eat a Reese's Pieces. There's no wrong way to play this game. Even if you lose all the games, I still wouldn't say it's wrong, because you can do that in order to find your footing and find how you want to approach it. You know what I'm saying? This is, again, I got to keep reiterating this over and over. This is just how I approach the game, and I'm giving you insight into it. So as it relates to tendencies, what I like to do is a couple things. If I'm doing a fast sim or even a hoop cast type sim, I do it the way I'm showing you here. I try to make it as formulaic as possible, and we'll get into that. When I'm doing the CPU versus CPU sim, like I do on the Texas Southern, it's a mix of both. It's a mix of this formula driven piece I'm gonna get into and show you, but then it's also just me, you know, playing around with how I want my players to play, because I'm actually watching the games on CPU versus CPU. So this is where we start. This is our roster. It's only 8 men again, so this will be fairly simple to go through. But what I do, and I use Excel. I'm a big Excel user, so we're gonna get into that. I use Excel for work, and I also use Excel in my personal life for various things. This is one of those various things for my video game playing addiction. Okay, so there are basically, and I'll get into it and show you, but there's basically 5 categories or 5 different areas of tendencies that you can tweak for each player. Okay, those are close, mid-range, 3-point, drive, and foul. That's it, just those 5 areas. Okay, so what I'm looking at, and I try to make it simple yet calculated, is the best way I can explain it. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at the players close, medium, 3-point, free throw, layup, dunk, handle, pass. That's all I'm looking at when I'm setting tendencies, right? I know that clutch is a big thing. I know offense and defensive awareness is a big thing. So I'm saying, like, you know, if you want to take those things in consideration, see, here's the clutch stat right here. By all means, go for it. I'm just not, right? I don't take that into consideration for what I'm doing here. So the first thing that I do is I'll take the time, and from right here, from close to pass, I take the time to note down onto Excel all of the players' attributes. Oh, and also their overall. I'll get into that too, their overall. Okay, so I'm about to take a pause real quick. I'm gonna type all this stuff up, I'm gonna whip it up, and then I'll come back and explain what I'm trying to do.
A few moments later.
All right, back in the game here. So all I did just now was just take note of my entire roster and what their attributes are, again, from close through pass. Okay, so let me pull up my Excel and show you what I'm working with. So here we are in Excel, and again, this is just the same thing we were looking at. I just have it here, right? So I wrote down all my players. I got height, weight, hometown, caliber. I got their class. This is their overall rating. These are the ratings that the attribute ratings that we're focused on, as I mentioned. And then what I did was I make this formulaic just to, let me get rid of this. I make this formulaic just to make it easier on myself as I go from year to year to year. It's easier to have it just as a formula so that the tendencies make themselves. So here are the tendencies. The way I do it is, and again, these are the 5 categories that I mentioned: close, mid-range, 3-point, and drive. These are all formulas. For foul, you see how there's nothing here? That's because I'm going to look at what they already have and make a determination if I want to go up or down on what the foul is. Based on how you play and how you have your bench set up, you don't necessarily want everybody to have low foul numbers, and you don't want them all to have high numbers. It's sort of a mix. But let me get into how I set this up with formulas. So I have a formula here for the close tendency. As you can see, here it is. So what I'm doing, what I'm telling this formula to do, I'm saying we're going to look at their close rating, the layup rating, and the dunk rating, right? We're going to take an average of those 3 ratings. That's what this is, saying average of what's in here, which is these items. And then I'm going to multiply that average by their overall. So think of and what I'm doing is converting their overall into a percentage, right? Meaning the higher the percentage, the more of this average that they get, if that makes any sense, right? So let's say if like this player right here that we're looking at, he's a 57 overall. So we're going to look at the average of these 3 areas and take 50% of that, or 57%, if that makes sense. So that's all this part of the formula is doing. Then I got it wrapped around this other formula that's for rounding, just so that I don't end up with numbers like 15.7. You know what I mean? It'll just be a straight 15. That's all I'm doing. I'm saying take the average of these three numbers, multiply it by their overall as a percentage. So convert their overall to a percentage, because if you think about it, the player's overall rating is on a scale from 1 to 100. So convert it to a percentage is very easy. You just divide by 100. And then I'm rounding that number. Then I add a second layer to this formula for the close tendency. And the second layer is saying if, this is the if then function, right? So it's saying if A3, so real quick, let me show you another thing I do here. When I put their positions down, I put their positions down as numbers, right? So point guard is 1, shooting guard is 2, small forward is 3, power forward is 4, and this team actually doesn't have any 5s, which are centers. So that's one thing we'll look for in the recruiting piece, but just to tie that in. So back to this close tendency. So the second part is an if function that's saying if A3, which is the position, the player position, if A3 is greater than or equal to 4, which means if it's a power forward or a center. So if A3 is greater than or equal to 4, then we're going to make this a 5, meaning I'm going to say plus 5. I'm adding 5 points to this average piece. I'm adding 5 points if it's a power forward or a center. You get it? If it's not, so that's what first 5 is. This other 5 is negative 5. If it's not, if it's a point guard, a 2 guard, or a 3, then I'm deducting 5 points, right? So that's the formula for the close. And then these are the results that we came up with based on their attributes. Now, the next one is mid-range. So mid-range, the formula is doing the same thing, it's just that I'm not adding anything to it, right? So I'm taking an average of their mid-range shot and their free throw shooting. Because if you think about it, you shoot a free throw from the mid-range, right? So what's the average of their mid-range attribute rating and their free throw rating? And then I multiply that by the percentage of their overall, a similar concept as what we did for close. And that's pretty much it. That's all it is. And then it's wrapped within a rounding formula again, so I don't get any fractions, right? I get whole numbers. So that's what this formula is for the mid-range. For the 3-point shot, what I'm doing is I'm not taking an average of anything. I'm just taking their regular, and just again, remember, every time you see this round, I don't want to keep explaining that. It's just rounding the number. But for the 3-point shot, I'm just taking the 3-point shot, multiplying it by their overall as a percentage again. So there's their 3-point shot in K3 times H3 divided by 100, because that makes it a percentage. And then I'm saying round, and then similar to what I did for close, for the close tendency, I'm doing something like that for the 3-point tendency by adding the if function. And in this case, I'm saying if A3, so if their position is less than or equal to 3, which means if it's a point guard, a 2 guard, or a small forward, less than or equal to 3, that's 1, 2, or 3. If it's that, then we're going to add 10 points to their 3-point shooting tendency. If it's not, meaning if it's a power forward or a center, we're going to subtract 10 points from their 3-point tendency. You get it? So that's how I'm making these formulas for tendencies based on their attributes. Okay. Then the last tendency we have here, this is a more complex formula, but it's not really. It seems like it, but it's kind of building on these other formulas that we've been using. So what this is saying, and it's wrapped in an if then, but we're just going to take this one piece at a time. So for now, disregard this if part. and I'll explain it when I get to it, because it's really okay. I'll explain. So for their drive, right, I'm taking an average of the close, the free throw, the layup, the handling, and the passing. We're going to average what's the average of these 5 attributes, right? That's what this is saying, average for these. Then, just like we did in the other ones, it's the same concept. I'm going to multiply the average by their overall as a percentage, which is just their overall divided by 100, which is how you make it a percentage, right? So what's the average of these 4 attributes multiplied by the percentage of their overall? So let's say, for instance, if these 4, and this is just an example, if these 4 had an average of 100, which means it's a player who had 100 in every single category, but yet his overall is just 50, then we'll take 100 times 50%, which will knock it down to 50. You get it? So that's what this is doing. Then, similar to the other ones, I'm adding an if function to this, where I'm saying if A3, which is the position, if A3 is less than or equal to 3, which is saying if it's a point guard, a 2 guard, or a small forward, similarly to what we did on the 3-point shot, we're gonna add 10 points, right? If it's not one of these, meaning it's a power forward or a center, what we're gonna do is we're gonna subtract A3 times 5. So if it's basically, that just means if it's a power forward, we're subtracting 20 points. If it's a center, we're subtracting 25 points. You get it? Their position number times 5 is what we're subtracting. And that's the first part of the formula. That's really the main formula. This extra piece where I have this other if right here and all this other stuff after what I just explained, what I'm saying here, so you see, this is the part that I just gave, this whole first part, that's all this that I just explained. Now there's another, it's wrapped within another if formula. So right here, this is saying if the result of all this shit right here that I just explained, if the result of all that is less than 0, then put a 0, okay? And if it's not a 0, if it's greater than 0, because I said right here, I'm saying right here, if it's less than 0. If it's less than 0, make the result a 0. If it's more than 0, make the result the result. That's how the if then works, right? So there's a couple if thans in here, but it's wrapped all within an if then. And the reason why I did this is because I'm subtracting so much. If it's a power forward, this really only applies to power forwards or centers, but I'm making it universal to everyone. But being that I'm subtracting so much here for the power forwards and centers, that can sometimes swing it to a negative number. So all I'm doing is just building in the formula to make it a 0. 0 is the floor. It will never go below 0, right? So if you look at our results, this is what we come up with on our tendencies for the squad, okay? So all that explanation to explain how I come up with tendencies, but this makes it easy for me, right? Again, this is how I approach it. It makes it easy for me because now I have this set up. Whenever I go from year to year, I just copy this down to another section, tweak their attributes based on what changed, add new players and their new attributes, right? And then all this will be automatic because it's formula driven, formulaic, right? And I'll show you that as we get into the tutorial more. And then files, again, we're going to do that one at a time, and then I just note what the files are. All right, so that's a really quick review of the tendency formula and how I approach it, but I'm going to show you in real time how I work this. Okay, so boom, we're back onto the game now. Now I'm about to go through and update player tendencies based on what we have on this Excel file. I got the Excel file on the other screen here. I moved it out the way so you could just see what we're doing on the game. And we're gonna go one player at a time. The first player up on my list is the point guard, Vinny Gara, which is my man right here. So we're just going to go in and edit his tendencies based on the formulas I just showed from Excel. All right, so we go down here and we do our work. So close tendency, the game had him at 3. My formula has him at 20, so I'm just going to pump him up to 20. Mid-range, the game had him at 33. My formula has him at 38, so I'm pumping him up to 38. Three-pointer, the game had him at 28. My formula has him at 48, so I'm pumping him up to 48. Drive the lane, the game has him at 50. My formula has him at 49, so I'm just dropping 1 point. So some of it gets pretty close to what the computer already had. And then his commit file is at 47. I feel like that's decent. I don't need to make any changes to that. So all I do on my Excel file is just put the 47 in the file column, right? And then that's it. I move on to the next player. So next up after him, we have TJ Haney. Okay, so for TJ, we go in, we edit this player, we go down to tendencies. His shot, his close shot is at a 3. My formula has it at a 19, so I'm gonna bump him up to 19. Mid-range shot is at a 30. The game has him at a 30, but my formula says 37, so I'm bumping him up to 37. 3-point shot, the game has him at 30. My formula says 46, so I'm bumping him up to 46. You see how I'm doing this? Drive, the game has him at 50. My formula has him at 47, so I'm dropping him down 3 to 47. And then the game already had his commit file at 47. I think that's decent. I don't need to change it. I just note it like I did the other guy, save and move on. All right. Up next on my list is Juan Linman. Oh, that's this guy right here. Okay. So we'll go in and tweak his tendencies. The game has his close at 34. My formula says 37, so I bump him up to 37. See how my formula ain't that far off from where the game putting them. It's just certain things is. Mid-range, the game has him at 50. My formula has him at 47, so I'm dropping him down to 47. Three-pointer, the game has him at 51. My formula has him at 56, so I bump him up to 56. Okay, and then drive the lane, the game has him at 67. My formula has him at 54, so I'm gonna drop him down and trust my formula. And then commits file, the game has him at 43. I agree, so I'm just going to note that on the file, and then we move on to the next guy. So you see how I'm doing this? Next up, Parker Clarence. Parker, we go down to his tendencies. The game has his close shot at 4. My formula says 24, so I'm bumping him up to 24. Mid-range shot, the game has him at 38, but my formula has him at 36, so I'm dropping him down to 36. Three-pointer, the game has him at 44. My formula has him at 49, so I'm bumping him up to 49. Then drive the lane, the game has him at 36. My formula has him at 43, so I bump him up to 43. Then commit file, he's at 46, and that's cool. I can live with that, so I keep it, make a note of it, save, and I'm on to the next guy. All right, the next guy I have is Dusan, however you say his last name. This dude right here from Europe. We're going to tweak his tendencies. The game has this close shot at 15. My formula says 25, so I'm bumping him up to 25. Game has his mid-range at 19. My formula says 27, so I'm bumping him up to 27. The game has his 3-point shot at 22, but my formula says 33, so I'm bumping him up to 33. Then drive the lane, the game has him at 23. My formula says 39, so I'm gonna bump him up to 39. And then commit file, I could live with the 45, no change from me. I'll just make a note in my Excel file. We move on to the next guy. In this case, that will be CW Bryant. go down to his tendencies. The game has his close shot tendency at 50. My formula says 47, so I'm bumping him down to 47. The game has his mid-range shot at 40, but my formula says 36, so I'm gonna bump him down to 36. The game has his three-point shot at 5. My formula has 18, so I'm pulling him up to 18. Drive the lane. The game has him at 39, but my formula says 17, so I'm dropping him down to 17. All right, the game has him at 56 for fouls. I can leave it at that. Even though he's a smaller power forward, he still is power forward, so we need him to be a bit aggressive down there in the paint. So that's C.W. Bryant. All right. Next guy is Alexander Jerzak. This guy here, we're going to tweak his tendencies. The game has him at 43 for close, but my formula says 34, so I'm dropping him down to 34. Game has his mid-range at 32. My formula says 28, so we're dropping him down to 28. Game has his three-point shot at 0. My formula says 8, so we'll pull him up there. The game has his drive the lane at 11. My formula says 8, so I'm dropping him down to 8. And then 64 for commit foul. That could kind of be too high, so I'm just going to drop him down to 60 and make a note of that and then save it. And we got one more player to get through, and that's going to be Ronnie Munoz, the only senior on this team. We're going to edit his tendencies. All right, the game has his close shot at 17, but my formula says 34, so we're going to pump him up to 34. Game has his mid-range shot at 14, but my formula says 27, so I'm bumping him up to 27. Game has his three-point at 2. My formula says 11. I'm gonna bump him up to 11. Game has his drive the lane at 6. My formula has 7, so I'm bumping him up by 1 to 7. And then the game has his commit fouls at 51. We can leave it at that. All right, so that's just a quick intro into how I do tendencies, but I'm going to show you as we go year over year with this example how I change it over every year, and how I use my Excel file with the formulas to make it happen, and how each year, including this one, it's a very simple process, because the formula, as soon as I type in their attributes or attribute changes, the formula automatically updates. All right, and then if I ever want to tweak something in the formula, I could do that, and so on and so forth. Okay, now it's time to get ready to start fast simming. We're going to fast sim through these games. Before we do that though, let's take a look at the roster. I'm just gonna do a quick auto generate. Now we only got 8 players, right? So everybody gonna play for sure. Knock that down. I mean, knock that down. I'm gonna try to, because I don't want to, we're gonna have to manage the time and the injuries, because again, we only got 8 guys, so we're gonna be forced to use all of them. So that's all I'm doing here with my minutes, just trying to distribute it where my starters get 30 and then split it between the bench, basically. Nope, not that. All right, so we're gonna go through, and it's gonna be time to simulate. Now, I don't expect to win. How do I put this? I don't expect to have a winning record this season, okay? So we're just going through to try to see what the results are, see how the players are playing. See, he got into foul trouble. I'm not gonna tweak anything unless it becomes a pattern, right? But I'm just looking at how the team performance is going. This is back to the tendencies piece, right? I'm looking at how our tendencies are working out. As well as our play style. So it's going to take us time to get our team to really reflect the play style that we're trying to install, which would be to have more shots than the opponents. They got to the line 22 times. We got to the line 19 times. They made oh damn. We shot 19 threes. They shot 18. They out rebounded us. I think we had a lot of turnovers. They had 16 turnovers. We had 17. All right, so that's the first game. If I see a trend on those files though, I may go in and tweak that on the files. All right, and we getting ready for the next game. Now remember, I gotta keep stressing, as far as the tendencies go, I'm not expecting anything spectacular at this point in this first year, right? I'm just trying to manage everything. I'm trying to get through the season with as little to no injuries as possible. So no one's hurt, so I don't have to make any changes here. Linman is already improving, so that's good. So we can just simulate through this and see how the team did. Because mind you, we only got 8 guys, right? Versus their whole full roster. Okay, this dude ended up fouling out, Bryant. Let me see. So what I might do here is take a look at his fouling tendency. And I'm gonna lower this by 5. I'm gonna drop it down to 50. All right, let me just make a note on that. Who is this? CW Bryant. Bryant. All right, we dropped his foul down to 50. Because he's not gonna help us from the bench. All right, time to sim through some more games for the tendencies, but at this point, I'm just managing fouls and injuries. I'm not gonna change any of the tendencies that we set earlier, again, unless it's the foul tendency. Do we have another player who's progressing? I don't expect to win many of these games. My whole thing is just try to get through the season without getting fired, basically. I don't think we'll get fired after the first year, but we'll see. Okay, we did better. No one fouled out, right? Bryant was able to stay through the game, even though we lost, but we only got 8 guys. They got to the line 3 times as much as us, and this is a home game. Those fouls are hurting us. Wait, let me see. Munoz, I might have to crank down his fouls a bit. Him and Jerzik, let me see here. $51. I'm gonna take him down to 50 or 48. And then Jerzik. I'm gonna take him down to 50. Oh, this is a tournament right here. Before we do that, let me just double check on the roster. See if we have any hurt. Now, if we have any hurt players, that just means I'll need to adjust their minutes. But with such a small roster, everybody has to play. Okay, boom. See, we're getting better on the fouls. So no one had 4 fouls at least. So at least we are making some improvement. It may not seem like it, but you got to think about where we're starting. Bryant had a double-double. That's pretty good. All right. Next, we're going to play this. See, look at our overall. Overall, we're a 58 team. So chances of us winning mini games are going to be slim to none. No, don't matter what the tendencies are. I'm just checking for files, so I think we might need to still tweak Munoz a little bit. Knock him down to 45. Just because we don't have the depth to foul out. You know what I mean? All right. Next week of simulating. This is just before the early signing period. I'm trying to sign somebody early. Well, we about to get knocked out the frame. What am I trying to do? Oh, look at my coaching. Just want to make sure no one's injured. We only lost by 10. That's not bad. Nobody fouled out, which is good. I think we played really good in this game, y'all. Even though we lost, we got up 68 points. So that's real. I mean, 68 shots, which is really good. I mean, it's along the lines of how we want to play. That's why we only lost by 10. I think the difference here is their 3-pointers. They made 11 free throws. They made 17 free throws to our 11. So yeah, it was the free throws and the 3-pointers that lost this game, but I'm proud of the team. I think they played well right here. I might want to knock down Tanjira's fouling just a bit because he got into foul trouble. Oh, damn. Didn't mean to do that. He got into foul trouble in this game. So let me just do that. Knock down his foul tendency to 40. And just note it on the sheet. All right. And then here's a conference game. The MEAC is kind of different in this game. They do the first conference game in early December. Before we hop into it though, let's check out, make sure our roster is, yep, we're doing good on injuries. I made sure on the development piece, on the training, I put as much durability on there as I could. Boom, we got our first win of the season, y'all. It's a conference win too. By 2 points, good job. We only got up 40 shots, gave up 53 shots. So that wasn't in our play style plans, but we got the dub. We made more shots than them, so our defense is doing something. Let's see, Jerzak is still getting into foul trouble, but he did not foul out. So that's good. Bryant had 18 rebounds. That's what I'm talking about, kid. But all right, we'll take that first win and run with it. Now it's time to sim through some games. We got Liberty and Old Dominion on this week. Still not into conference play just yet. Got some tough teams to play. Oh, those are heartbreakers. Lost by 2 points there. Couple guys got into foul trouble, but no one fouled out. Why did Parker only play 11 minutes though? See, we got to the line 13 times. They got to the line 34 times. That's where we lost the game right there. And we lost by 2 points. They got up 56 shots. We got up 72. So at least that part is in alignment with our game plan. You know, we like to get up as many shots as possible. We just don't have the depth right now, y'all. That's what this team is lacking. But we're gonna get there. All right. this next game. Not that. Let me check the rotation. Still no injuries. That's good. Got blown out. Understood. But we did good with the fouls. They only got to the line 14 times. That's real good. But they got up 63 shots. We only got up 56. That's where they got us. And they made way more threes. Simulate some more games here. No injuries. That's good. Let's see. This week we are up against Kennesaw State, another sorry team. Hopefully we got a better chance there. Let's see how that goes. Dang, nope. But no foul trouble. 14 fouls. They got to the line 18 times only, but they made 15 of them. They got us on those 3-pointers, 7 for 21. Yeah, that's where they got us. And you know what? I'm about to change this back to my normal. Normally, I don't do 1-2-2. I do 3-2. I'm gonna change that back. What? I had this on auto save. Hold on. You know, that's fine. I could do auto save. Yeah, that works. Cause I've been stopping the save, so we can definitely do auto save. All right, Wagner up next. Just make sure we're good on injuries. Yes, we are. Lost that one. We only got up 54 shots. They got up more than us. All right, back to simulating. I think this is the last non-conference game. Let me just double check my. Okay, no injuries, we're good. That was a close one. Oh, Bryant fouled out. We gotta tweak his fouling. I'm gonna knock this down to 45. Actually, also, let me do this real quick. Do some pep talking, but look, our guys are pretty confident right now, even though we haven't been really winning. It's time for conference play. Lindman fouled out. Let's see if we need to tweak his foul. We may or may not. That's the first time he fouled out all season. We're dropping down to 40. Damn, we had 3 foul outs. Okay, we can't keep dropping stuff down. This is just a function of not having enough players. Now, see, I could tweak the gameplay and make us play slower games, but I don't want to do that, y'all. I'm stubborn. I might have to do it, though. But I don't want to. Our fouls are getting better at least. How did they beat us? Oh, they beat us by 2 points. I'm like, where did they beat us at? They beat us by 2. Finally got our second win. I was thinking I'll be damned if we lose to this team right here. We did decent on the fouls. Hella turnovers though. We got up 51 shots, 51 field goals to their 59. But we made way more threes than they did. That was good. 9 for 16. So finally, and it's a road win too. Good job. Unfortunately, not a conference win, but that's fine. That's not what I wanted to do. Knew it was gonna be tough to win 2 in a row. Especially 2 road games in a row. They got up way more shots than us. You know what? For the rest of the season, I'm just gonna tweak my coach profile just to try to give us a better chance of winning. I'm gonna knock this down to 55. I'm gonna keep that up. I'm gonna keep everything else where it is. I'll just knock our tempo down. That didn't help anything. All right, if we're gonna lose them all, I'd rather lose them playing my style. You know what I'm saying? Them close losses are killing me. We got up more shots. Oh, they got to the line 41 times. That's crazy. Nothing we can do with that. Another close win. I lost. I'm sorry. Lost. Where did we lose this? We both got up 25 shots. They made 3 more shots than we did. No foul trouble though. Finally got another win. Damn. It only took forever. We beat them from the 3-point stripe. And we got to the line 30 times. So good job on that. That's a good win right there. We'll take it. Oh, lost by a point. I thought, you know, it's our depth. We just don't have the depth right now. We're trying to change it. Let's just sim our way through the rest of the season. Ugh. Damn, they got to the line 39 times. We overfouled them. Finally. We got up more shots than they did. We didn't make as many. But we got to the line 34 times though. And we got blowed out. Foul trouble. How do we have more guys? Wait. Damn. They let somebody get 6 fouls. We had so many fouls in that game. The whole team fouled out. Oh, finally get a 1-point win. We lost every other close game leading up to this one. We got a 51 shots to their 57. They made more shots than us, but we made more threes and more frees. Now let me spend some more prep points. Oh, got another win. Good job, y'all. My point guard fouled out, but he had a decent game. Put up 56 shots to their 47. Good job. Ooh, we just won 3 games in a row. Let's go. Nobody fouled out. We got into some foul trouble, but we held them off. Put up more shots than them. More 3-pointers. Okay. We're a tough team to beat right now. Well, kinda. I don't want to jinx nothing. But that's good to win 3 games in a row with 8 guys on your squad. Make it 4 in a row. Let's go. Come on. We dangerous right now. We real confident. 4 games in a row Another 1-point victory. Good. I wanted to get these 1-point wins. Those close wins are important. No foul trouble here. Good job. We going into the conference tournament pretty hot there. See, I'm putting on Lemon. Lemon's our best player, so he should be the most confident. Oh, come on, y'all. That's 5 games in a row right there. 1 game away from 10 wins. I don't want to jinx nothing. Good job. Damn, I put it on him. He didn't do nothing. But we won, though. We got 56 shots. They only got up 47. They got to the line 34 times and made 6 threes. We made 12 3-pointers. Great freaking job. See, this is the thing I'm pointing out right now. For me, what I try to do, even though we lost all those games throughout the season, I try to save all of my pep talks until this point of the year where it really, really matters. You know what? I got to put it back on Lemon. He's our best player. I want him to be the most confident. Dang. 1 game shy of 10 wins. That would have been extra points. Maddox went off for 30 on us. They put up 60 some odd shots. We put up 58. So that was it, man. We did a decent job, though. Pretty decent, if you ask me. Let's see our conference standings. Let me just take note of this. Okay, I know it seems like a bad season, but it wasn't necessarily that bad of a season. Okay, y'all. So that is what it is. In this tutorial, we were able to share with you how I create player tendencies and playstyles. Also important was showing how I fast simulate and make tweaks and adjustments along the way. It's not just about winning every game, y'all. It's about learning your team and adjusting your way through the season. Also, notice how I saved the pep talks to use toward the end of the season, which really helped, you know. As I mentioned earlier, any and all further additions of this tutorial will be up to you, the viewer. So if I can get this video up to 100 likes, that'll inform me that there actually is a demand for my supply, and I'll go ahead and drop part 2, which is the next season of the save. So that'll be up to you, like I said. Until that point, you know who it is.
For the old man.
Yep, that's right. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, especially if you hung out with me to this point in the presentation. What are you waiting for? Bang on that subscribe button. Last, but certainly not least, drop a comment down below. Let a brother know. Thank you for rocking with me. Thank you for hanging out with me to this point of the presentation. I do this often. Come back, hang out with me again soon. Like I said, it's up to you if you want another version of this tutorial, a part 2. And until then, y'all, signing out. Peace.